Oh, fucking Gojira. Really want to go to fucking see Gojira in Norway in like a few months, but I've got a brother's fucking stag do, my daughter's birthday, and a trip to Poland to see Rammstein and go to Auschwitz to contend with, so that is probably not going to be on the fucking cards. Agents of Slaughter back with another video for the morbidly curious. What I do on these videos is explain to the viewer what goes on in these disturbing pieces of film that made their way onto the internet. Those that are curious enough and strangely contemplative about what happens in these videos would want to fucking view it themselves. I do the donkey work and then I talk shit about it. If you like shit like this, fucking like, share, all that shit, hit the bell. This one is about the Dagestan beheading massacre video, otherwise known as the Tukhchar massacre. So the belligerents in this video are the Islamic International Brigade and Russia. This does happen in Dagestan, the sort of independent state of Russia. It happened in 1999. The units involved were the Russian Internal Troops 22nd Special Separate Brigade and the Dagestani Militia, or something like that, basically sort of state police and such, as well as some Dagestani volunteers. This was part of the bigger Dagestan war that I'm not going to bother trying to get into, but those were the units involved, although it's unknown exactly which unit of the Islamic International Brigade was behind this massacre. So the video was recorded by one of the perpetrators and shows the staged beheading of a number of Russian soldiers. They were part of a small unit of lightly armed troops who were stationed in Tukhchar in Dagestan when they were descended upon by up to 500 militant rebels, the Chechen Mujahedin terrorists led by some fucking guy that I'm not even going to try and say his damn name. It was fucking complex in its spelling. This group seized control of the border town, and of the 13 soldiers stationed there, 6 stood up to the oppressors, but quickly ran out of ammunition and surrendered on the belief that promises of attaining prisoner of war status would be granted, basically being taken to a camp of such, but definitely being kept alive. This was not the case. So it's gonna get fucking gnarly. It's a pretty fucking brutal video, so bail out now if you don't want to hear it. You know, if the fucking title of the video and that there, the first fucking 2.5 minutes is enough, bail out now. I'll put a couple of wee screen caps for the video, but I'm not gonna show any fucking of the brutal shit. I don't want to get shut down. I'm not here to gore folk out, I'm just here to talk shit. So yeah, this will be audio description only as always. No violence or death or blood or any of that shit. So this entire video looks like it's shot on a mobile phone, and it's almost 17 minutes long. It's pretty fucking long, but really most of the video is made up a lot of just fucking wandering about. The actual murders make up a generally small part of that time. It starts off outside a car that's pulled up on the side of some highway, looks like a main road. Around about the 26-second mark, a military unit of some description is holed up somewhere in the middle of the country. It's a lot of grass and they just kind of look like they're taking a fucking break, but there's sort of grass cover and such. There's a lot of fucking about really with the camera cutting back and forward. People can be seen chatting and laughing, and I think I never went back and like watched as many times, but I think I even spotted a female as part of the terror group. Around about the 13-minute mark, and the camera quickly cuts to a new setting, and it's a new frantic pace of movement and sounds. The camera's really shaky and it's zoomed in somewhere and you can't really get an idea of what's going on, but as it pans out you can see that it's already zoomed right in on what is one of his fucking compadres cutting in at the neck one of the victims. The guy who's being cut up, He's topless but wearing trousers, and there's blood like all around his neck and the back area. As the camera further decreases the magnification on where we are, we see a further group of hostages. The rest of the six that were captured, they're all clothed, lying down on the ground and in front of a small unit of the terrorist group. The cameraman walks back over towards the man who has had his throat cut, and you can see that he's bled a lot of blood out all over the ground that they're on. You can hear again, and I think this is probably the worst part of these kind of fucking videos, is the sounds. I tend to find that more fucking haunting or something than the actual imagery. I don't know. Anyway, the you can clearly hear this guy's windpipe desperately trying to inhale. It's really loud and gargly. I mean, the guy's like totally alive still through this. Somebody then comes along, further cut through his neck, further serrating the windpipe, and yet again he's still flailing about. He's still desperately trying to catch his breath. So that's like one of the things that when you see it in Hollywood movies, it's absolutely fuck all like what actually happens. It reminds me of Braveheart when Mel Gibson's fucking tidy wife is taken hostage by the English, and the guy's shouting on Wallace to come and get her, and then he cuts her throat and he just sort of slices it in like 2 seconds, and she dies like 5 seconds later pretty fucking peacefully. But it's absolutely nothing fucking like that in the slightest. It's pretty fucking brutal. Another of the rebels then takes another hostage onto the grass and gets him on his knees ready for the execution. After a slight fight against what is about to happen, it seems his face got cut almost by mistake or something, which causes a kind of cries through the pain. But yeah, it kind of looked a bit like by mistake. They're kind of fucking around and shouting at each other or whatever. The guy's obviously begging for his fucking life as well. The camera pans around, and yet another militant type is beheading the furthest most hostage from the camera. Like as they're laid out, it's the furthest one away, and he's putting up no fight at all while he's he's lying on his back. His hands are tied, but he's not putting up any fight. However, once he has been sort of sliced right up under the jawbone, all the way back to like the innermost bit of your jawbone, he's got his head pulled back a bit. His body begins to move a little as he moves his hand up close to his face. I don't know, imagine he had his throat cut earlier and it died. Just some sort of electric current still in the body before the cells sort of extinguish all their energy, after he died, just because he put up such little fight that I struggle to believe that he never put up a fight, and then once he was in that condition, that's when he tried to, I don't fucking know what he would have been trying to do, but I don't know, I could be wrong. The guy who had his face accidentally cut, or what looked like the accidental cut a wee bit earlier in the video, then manages to break free from his captor and makes a run for it. The camera work's shaky as fuck at best. You can't really make out all of what's going on if he does get away, but he seems, in between the shakes, he seems to get a bit of distance and perhaps escape for a bit. You can hear sporadic gunshots, implying that he was at least still moving. Then again, maybe he was shot straight away and the guy just wanted to shoot his corpse some more. They're hardly the fucking friendliest crew that I've read about. Either way, all these 6 men died. This guy was shot, whether it was later on off camera, whether it was caught in those gunshots that you hear in the video, the guy did die. The cameraman then pans back around to where the hostages are. You see the first body again, the first guy we saw being attacked in the video. Then another of the hostages is brought over to the grass area, and it looks like a conversation takes place for it. It's a good few minutes. They're fucking around. He's going from lying down, he's sitting up a bit. there's not too much going on. I did read a transcript of what that conversation apparently actually was. They were talking, well, the guy was basically giving up where ammunition and weapons were, trying to buy his freedom. And I believe that the guy who initially was going to do the murder swapped over with another guy. I think one of these terrorists, militia guys, they actually ended up not wanting to go through it. Anyway, it's all for fuck all. A couple more of the cronies come over, they start beating on the prisoner, punching him, hitting him with the butts of their rifles. Eventually, one man, what looks like stabbings, stabs him in the rear of the neck and the head area before beginning to slice and cut away at the side of the hostage's neck. Blood sort of pouring everywhere. The hostage then slumps on the grass with his bloodied arm out above his head as he lies face down. A fifth hostage is taken to the grass area before the camera cuts to a close view of the aforementioned furthest away guy, the most distant, the guy that had his fucking head cut all the way up and twitched a bit after he whatever fucking died, looked like they died. The camera kind of then pans around again, fucks around a bit, maybe even cuts, and then we see the hostage that had just last been taken onto the grass, now executed. He's lying there, he's been cut, his throat's been cut, must have been done off camera. Didn't even hear anything in the video, so it must have happened in one of the cuts. The final hostage then executed, and this one could be the fucking worst of the lot, simply because out of all of them, it's the most clear to see and hear. The guy's lying down on his stomach, his hands are tied behind his head. One of the Chechens pulls his head back a bit, so he's sort of like, as if you're going to give him a cobra clutch or something like that, or a crossface. He kind of comes from above him, standing over him, grabs him by the tops of the eye socket, skull area, and starts frantically sawing through his throat. You hear the fucking the pain. He's sort of screaming and shouting, but it's at the same time not that loud because he's having his whole fucking cord there serrated and cut through pretty fucking gnarly. And again, with his head held back now in that position, so the serration of his windpipe will be at peak angle of openness, and again you can hear the desperate attempt of the body to inhale the oxygen into the lungs. It's really loud and kind of gargly, just really fucked up. Again, nothing like Braveheart. His body's convulsing a little, his legs are twitching and moving out. He's obviously in shock mode, panic, whatever the fuck mode you're in when you're in this fucking position. As the Chechen lets go of the guy and moves away, the guy then even makes a frantic rollover kind of sit-up position before flapping back around and lying down on his face. And again, there's just fucking blood everywhere, obviously. The members of the Mujahideen then proceed to clear away the bodies before the end of the video. So that is all for the video, thank fuck. In the aftermath of the massacre, the head of the village sought for and received permission from the Chechen leader to retrieve the bodies of the fallen soldiers. Such was the gruesome and gory fucking nature of their deaths. The families of the men were never actually informed of the extent of the cause of their death, and they were buried with the true extent still kept a secret. One of the guys I meant to mention was only 19, so yeah, fucking brutal. Anyway, that's all for that. If you got this far and you like listening to this sort of shit, give a fucking like. Auf Wiedersehen.